Guys, what's going on? Welcome back to Serial at Midnight. My name is Heath Holland, and I'm really excited because for this episode, there's exciting news happening with Eureka. And who better to talk to about what's going on at Eureka than someone from Eureka? So I'm joined by Kevin Lambert, the head of content for Eureka. Kevin, welcome to Serial at Midnight.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So we were talking a little bit before we hit record. You've been in the biz, right, for like 24 years, 23, 24 years.
Yeah, 23 or 24, yeah, since I was it's either 19 or 20. I can't remember exactly the age that I started, but yeah, so yeah, it's been a bit of a long, but very, very enjoyable trek. Yeah.
So what I love about that is that you've seen the whole, like, all the changes over the last 20 years or so. You saw the DVD boom when
Yep.
it was just like everything was coming out all at the same time. You've seen kind of the lulls and now the shifts and now this news that Eureka's coming to North America, which is huge. But I'm just kind of curious. I have to ask you right here at the top, having worked with, quote, physical media for as long as you have, where are we at right now? Are we in a good, lots of YouTubers are saying physical media is dying. What's your take from the inside?
I don't think it's dying at all. Um, I think there's always going to be a physical media market in some way, shape, or form.
Mhm.
Um, it's like, yeah, okay, I can read a book on my Kindle, but when you open the pages of your book and you smell it, I'm going to sound like a right weirdo, but you open a book and you smell it, and there's something, you can turn the page, you can, go to it easily. It's like you can read it on the underground and not get robbed. It's like these things all come into it. But with physical home entertainment media, it's not just the film. Obviously, it's the stuff that comes with it when you have booklets or um, you know, extra features or posters, memorabilia or ephemera, like, really big deluxe chunky box sets and things like that. Um, that being said, I think there is a place for streaming. Um, I'm not against streaming at all. I've got subscriptions to multiple, streamers. Um, where I think all of this kind of physical media is dying kind of conversation comes from, I think it is the more mainstream type of films that the larger audience might be watching or might be going to see. So they'll go and see it at the cinema, but they don't actually have an appetite to then buy it on DVD or Blu-ray or 4K UHD afterwards. Especially when they can get it just using one streamer. Many others are available, but you can go to the cinema and watch a Marvel movie and get it on Disney Plus a week later. So I think that's where the biggest decline is sort of being seen within the industry,
Mhm.
because those films were also the biggest chunk of the market, you know,
Yeah.
historically over time. So that's my take on it. Someone's probably
Yeah.
going to shoot down in the comments and say I'm totally wrong, but okay.
Well, I could say like it's a beautiful day, the sky is blue, and it feels pretty good outside, and people be like, "You're wrong," and let me tell you why. I mean, people just love to get upset about
Yeah, yeah,
things. But Eureka has been serving the UK market, UK fans for decades now.
yeah, yeah.
And there's going to be a lot of people watching this in the UK who are like, "Oh yeah," and they're going to be glad that I'm getting to talk to you because, first of all, thank you so much for taking the time to do this.
Not
It's
a problem.
it's a real honor for me. But for those in the US who are about to get some Eureka discs, maybe for the first time, we could import them, and we do import them. There are people that carry these. Diabolic DVD's been really good with import
Yeah,
titles for a long time, but there's going to be a lot of people watching this that only buy their discs at Walmart or only from the major outlets, and they don't know who Eureka is. So could you just kind of tell me um, what do you guys do? I know you've been around since really the early 2000s. The Masters of Cinema line started about 20 years ago, right?
yeah. So it's like Master Cinema was 2004. The label Eureka itself has been around since the early 80s, releasing classics on VHS. So it's been there for a very long time. Um, Kind of like you say, Master Cinema was when things started, blowing up and getting a lot bigger than they were
Hmm.
um, back then when we are doing sort of VHS. Um, so yeah, Master Cinema series. for those that don't know about it, it's a curated range of important historic films from all the way back to the silent era, even through to contemporary cinema from important filmmakers,
Mhm.
um, all curated with lots of extras, accompanying booklets with essays, and using the finest possible source for the presentation of the feature itself, and making sure that we get the best out of the software that's available to us for encoding the features, so you get the best picture presentation and sound presentation as well. Um, I always say to people that don't know us, it's like we're UK Criterion, because it's essentially the same. Uh, Ourselves and Criterion have a lot of the same films. Like they may have the US and we have the UK. So it's taking that same love for a film and the same kind of passion behind it, presenting it on disc with absolutely everything that we can to enhance the viewer's viewing experience. They might watch the film and be like, "Oh, it was interesting," and then they watch the documentary that we made, sort of, or interviews, and they're like, "Okay, wow, I know so much more about this. I just thought it was kind of cool."
Yeah.
But yeah, and we do sort of new artworks for everything, and everything comes in a nice sort of slip cover and with a booklet on the first pressing anyway. Everything's kind of limited edition release in that aspect.
Right.
Then alongside the Masters of Cinema, about 10 years after that was launched, we launched the Eureka Classics line, which is, it was kind of like still for presenting cool films and things that we love and that need to be seen, but maybe don't fall into that kind of auteur framework. It's not directed by Pasolini or
Right.
Murnau or Fritz Lang or something, but oh hey, this is a really cool kind of genre film, or a classic piece of Hollywood that deserves to be seen, deserves the same treatment, but doesn't necessarily fit under the banner of Masters of Cinema.
Right. Yeah.
So that's the main two strands for the company, really. If you wanted to do kind of a comparison to like the Eureka Classics line, you could probably say it's like a equivalent to a Shout Factory, maybe. In some ways, Kino. It's that kind of those kind of things.
On the site, I'm going to quote from the Eureka site because it says it better than I could say it. World cinema, action, horror, sci-fi, indie dramas, Hollywood classics, comedy, and thriller films, as well as a wide selection of TV titles.
Yep.
That's what you guys do. Now, why? I'm trying to lead into this decision to expand it to North America, which is huge. I guess I'll just ask, like, why now? What aligned that made this a great time for this to happen?
It's, I mean, it's been something that people have been asking about for a long time. The people that are aware of us, that are maybe aware of us, but aren't multi-region capable.
Mhm. Yeah.
So they're like, "Oh, it's really cool. I wish you were releasing it in the US." And we get a lot of emails, Facebook messages, Twitter messages saying, "Oh, why can't you release this in the US? I wish you guys would come to the US." So I suppose then, with myself coming back to the company and having the experience of like my previous employer being I used to work for those that don't know, I used to work for Arrow. Um, my experience there, handling multi-territory distribution, it just sort of, things just kind of aligned. So, we had some discussions, and I said, well, let's do it. People are asking. There's obviously a demand for it. So, let's go for it. Let's grab the bull by the horns and be a multi-territory distributor.
I think that kind of tells you right there where the physical media is at too. For this to be able to happen right now, it means it's in a good enough place that you guys would consider expanding into a whole other territory, which is a good thing for us. That's a good thing for everybody, really. It's good for Eureka. It's good for the fans. It's good for physical media as a business.
Yeah,
Um,
there's plenty of space for it in the market as well. I mean, you look at like all the releases that come out, and you've still got people that are saying, oh, I really want this on Blu-ray. I really want this. I really want this. I really want this. And it's like, there's still plenty of things that can be released. So yeah, it's an exciting time.
Is there, when this news came out, I saw a few people say, and I don't want to give too much attention to negativity because that you'll always have it and you don't want to feed it. But I did see some people say, well, the people that would buy these releases are already imported. Like I import these releases. Everyone that wants these is importing these releases. Could you speak to that?
I'm not convinced by that at all. So obviously there are people that do already go to the effort to import our releases from the UK to the US. There's almost certainly going to be people who don't even know who we are. Um, and then there's going to be the people that import every now and again because they really like the film, but they're not going to import everything, maybe because of cost, time that it's going to take for the thing to be delivered, all of these factors, where being in both of the territories, you enable that customer to be able to, go into Barnes and Noble and be like, oh, that film, I'm going to pick that up, and sort of more casual day-to-day buyers. And then obviously there's the people I've touched on already that are aware of who we are and want our releases, but aren't capable of playing them because they don't necessarily have a multi-region player or the capability to play a UK disc. So I think it opens up the audience massively and gives it's a whole another group of people that we can either reach for the very first time, or we can make things more convenient and easy for people that do currently import.
Mhm.
I mean, if you buy something from, let's just say, Amazon in the States, it will be with you the next day. If you buy it from Amazon in the UK, how long do you wait for that generally to arrive? I mean, I normally see delivery times about a week if I order something from the States, but it's still a reasonable amount of time to be sort of sitting and waiting for something.
Yeah.
So I think there's a mixture of things in there. It's like, convenience. Things are probably always going to be priced slightly cheaper bought locally than imported.
Hmm.
Uh, there's not really any taxes or anything now that we get hit by. Whereas, I'm sure you remember back in the days of early DVD, importing things was always you run that customs risk. Are you going to get stung with a big import fee? But those things don't really happen anymore, do they? So yeah, I'm not convinced that people are just going to, the people that were already importing them are still going to import them. I don't.
I like that you brought up Barnes and Noble too, because there are so many people that watch my channel. They only shop physically. Like when the news came out that Best Buy was getting out of physical media, getting out of
Yeah.
discs, it was like the world was ending for some of these people. And realizing that Best Buy they only accounted for about 4% of all the discs sold in the United States, whereas Walmart's like 46% or something like this. This gigantic number. But there are people that only will shop physically. So Barnes and Noble could be. By the way, isn't Barnes and Noble owned by Waterstones? I believe that they got bought by Waterstones. Anyway,
Oh, really?
I believe that's true. If it's not, I'm gonna edit this out. But I'm
I
pretty
was
sure
going to say
that's true.
I don't know if they still are, but at one point in time, Waterstones were owned by HMV in the UK anyway.
Really?
So for those, if this makes the cut,
Yeah.
HMV is the only real UK bricks and mortar home entertainment store that still exists. There's independents, but that's the only kind of Barnes and Noble kind of level store.
That's one of the things I wanted to ask you about is what's the brick and mortar situation like in the UK? I mean, I hear from people that say, well, I used to buy stuff at Tesco and I can't do that anymore. But from the professional side of things, has that hit the business hard, or has it just kind of transitioned to an online model
It's
relatively,
Yeah,
easily?
it's just kind of transitioned really. There were hurdles because at one point HMV went into administration, so like into bankruptcy, sitting on like all of the UK distributor stock, and it's like so took a take a hit at that point. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of slowly been declining over the years. The major supermarkets all used to carry home entertainment. I think there's only one or maybe two of the big four supermarkets
Hmm.
that still carry home entertainment products. It generally tends to be this week's blockbuster releases. You
Yeah.
don't see much independent titles at all in supermarket retail. And then there's a few out like there's a few independent stores. Like the British Film Institute have a shop within the Film Institute. It's very small, but it's an ideal captive audience as well. People are
Right.
when they're going in that shop, they know what they're going in for. They're going in for independent film releases generally, or archival things. It's yeah.
Right. Can you talk to me a little bit about region locking? Because I see a lot of questions about region locking, and this is a good time to address it. Why do companies still have a region A or region B or region one or two at this point in the game? So many people say there shouldn't be any region codes at this point, but why do there have to be?
Um, the short answer is legal. So we don't own any of these films. These we license them from producers, rights holders, libraries, etc., etc. And it's a largely understood thing that every contract will stipulate what region code you're allowed your disc to be, and that's to protect other markets. I mean, as an enthusiast myself, I totally appreciate the question. And to some
Right.
point, I'm like, I agree. Like, the internet isn't region locked. I can watch it online. Why can't I watch it on disc? Um, but yeah, it all came from when we transitioned from VHS, which in North America is NTSC, in Europe is PAL, and the two are just completely incompatible. There are ways around it that you can get players and stuff, but um, to the average Joe, it was just completely like you can't play a US VHS in the UK. Then DVD come along, and it's like, oh, like how is that going to work? Because at the same time, companies started transitioning away from using the PAL system on DVD in the UK to use the NTSC system. Um, the differences are minute, but the one big thing is the difference in running speed.
Hmm.
Because PAL and PAL runs faster than NTSC, so you actually watch the film in less time. Um, the rights holders and the libraries and stuff were like, oh, so if it's released on DVD in Europe, then our North American distributor is going to have no sales because, and this was the time when like internet mail order home entertainment was really booming. You had a new kind of like online store appearing every other week. So yeah, so it's basically to the idea of it is to help local distributors still be profitable when another territory has it in the market. I do get, why people are like, oh, why is it region coded? It's just, I say the same thing, but from my side of things, it's unfortunately we have to. It's like
Yeah.
we can only our contract stipulates we can only release it in that coding. Unfortunately, we need to stick to that. Otherwise, we might get told off by a judge.
Yeah. Or and not get to release things in the future. Have
Exactly. Yeah.
relationships. Yeah.
If we cause another distributor to you know become upset or go back to the rights holder with a valid complaint, then it also tarnishes our relationship to and could scupper future projects coming out.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about these first two North American the UK North American co-releases. We're talking about. You tell me
So
what they are. What are the two titles?
so the first is our first Masters of Cinema release in North America, which is The Cat and the Canary, directed by Paul Lenny. It's a old dark house whodunit kind of thriller. Really interesting, was really kind of groundbreaking for the way it was shot as well at the time. And it's been restored in 4K by MoMA. So it looks absolutely wonderful.
Now somebody's gonna say, if it's restored in 4K, why aren't you putting it out in 4K? Can we tackle that?
It's only restored in 4K standard dynamic range. All of our UHDs we put out on the high dynamic range Dolby Vision. To be perfectly honest with you as well, because of the age of the film, it's the sort of difference isn't going to be huge unless you are viewing it on a huge home cinema setup. It's it looks good on Blu-ray.
So does this film predate the Bob Hope Cat and the Canary? So it's an earlier version of that story, right?
It's based on the same stage play. So this was the first film adaptation of it. Then there was the Bob Hope one. There's a few more. There's also a Spanish one, which is considered lost now, which I really wanted to include as sort of like a bonus.
Yeah,
It's got an extra, but like it's lost. We searched high and low for it and just can't find it. So yeah, it's been multiple adaptations, but this was the first screen adaptation of the of that stage play.
I'm really excited about it.
It looks fantastic.
Oh, I can't wait. What's the other one? So there's another one coming too.
So then the other one is within our Eureka Classics line. It's Black Mask, starring Jet Li, produced by Hugh Hark. It's a like kind of Matrix. No, that's bad comparison.
It was after the Matrix, though, wasn't it?
Like, it was after the Matrix, but it came in that whole sphere of those tech thrillers,
right?
That all came out around that same sort of time.
With the like
yeah
soundtrack, yeah,
like lasers and stuff everywhere.
right.
It's like, but yeah, no, it's really cool. Stars Jet Li. People get killed with CDs. It's awesome. Like, it's just it's like, yeah, just using CDs as weapons, man. It's just fantastic. But yeah, it's really enjoyable. Kind of exactly what you kind of expect from a Jet Li film. It's very action driven, loads of cool martial arts, loads of cool stunts, and there's like 4 versions of the film as well. So it's like you're not going to get bored watching it. Every version is slightly different. So
that's incredible that you track down all these different versions of the movie to include them, so people have a complete experience. You can choose which one you want.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of the times as well. There can be a lot of sort of fan interaction with it as well. So when we go into a project, obviously we'll know that, oh, okay, we know that there's a US cut that was, this particular film was released by Miramax, and it was trimmed down quite drastically for its domestic release in the US. So there's that presentation of it. There's the Hong Kong theatrical. There's a Taiwanese cut, and then there's a kind of extended cut, a bit of a sort of Frankenstein cut, if you like, of all of the individual scenes reinserted into one cut. So you've got all the violence. Like, this bit was missing from here, this bit was missing from here, but it's all there together now. So we go into it knowing that these exist a lot of the time, but then there's time to time where people will be like, oh, what about that cut that was shown on like cable TV this one time? And it's like, didn't know that existed. And you look into it a bit more, and it's like you start going down an internet rabbit hole and like find out loads of stuff about it. So a lot of the time, we're just, because of the way that the films are restored, we can actually reassemble the various cuts from one element, like from the original negative. But sometimes, the only thing that exists is a copy of a VHS. So, sometimes I have to make some sacrifices and be like, hey, okay, we got this little short scene, but you've got it. This is the only way you're ever going to see it. And present it that way as well.
Yeah. These are coming in April. By the way, I can't believe I haven't mentioned, but you guys have partnered with MVD Entertainment for North America, right?
Yeah, they're our distribution partner for the US, for all of our physical media and our digital as well.
Okay, and great. I love MVD. I gotta say, like they've been knowing some of the, I mean, I Eric Wilkinson is such a cool guy, and
You've had Eric on the channel before, haven't you?
I've had him on several times. We're friends. I just did a commentary for him with him for the movie Joysticks, which is coming out
Okay,
from
cool.
MVD Entertainment. Yeah, he's a buddy of mine, and a great guy. And so that's so April. Are you waiting to see how these do, or are you going to go ahead and say that there'll be more in the future?
Oh, there's already more in the future.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, we're already lined up. We're committed to this. I mean, there are some titles. Our press guy would kill me if I mention them, but there are some titles that, not just in North America, but in both territories where we're going to be like, oh, we'll release this and see if it works, and then go back for more. It's normally a multi film series. That's all I'm going to say. But
Okay. Well, for the UK audience that's been with you guys for years and years, is there anything you can tell me that might be coming that hasn't been talked about yet? If
uh,
there's not, that's okay, but I have to ask.
no, I mean, just trying to think. I mean, there's nothing that we've actually outright confirmed.
Okay.
So,
So stay
um,
tuned. That's what we'll just say.
yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
good
Definitely,
things
definitely
coming.
stay tuned. But yeah, we've got a lot of exciting things coming on both the Master Cinema series and the Eureka Classics line.
Let me ask you this: do you see an opportunity to bring over some? Now, some of those Masters of Cinema titles do have U.S. releases, but not
Mhm.
all of them. Do you see an opportunity to dig into the back catalog of things that haven't been released in North America and bring some of those over?
For some titles, yes, I think it's got to be done in moderation because
Mhm.
otherwise it just seems oh, they've already done that. It's not new, etc., etc. It'll be new to some audiences.
Yeah.
But also for a lot of the library, it does already have US distribution.
Mhm.
Um, so for the right titles, I definitely say yes, we will do that.
Okay. Okay.
But it really will have to be kind of the the right title to go back and because as well with a lot of that stuff, we'd have to do all of the disc work again. Um, and all of the encodes and things like that because
Gotcha.
just
Yeah.
because of the nature of the industry,
Right.
the people that authored those discs may not even be in business anymore.
Mhm.
I know that a lot of our early stuff, that company aren't in business anymore, or they just don't have the assets anymore because hey, why would you come back and ask us to do something 10 years after the fact? So there are cost implications as well as there is with everything. But
Yeah.
yeah, for the right title, I wouldn't say no, but it won't be a regular occurrence. Put it that way.
Gotcha. Well, I am excited about this. I feel like there is no downside to this. This is just good news. More movies, wider availability, lower prices because you're saving on some of those import fees for people in North America. I just think this is really good, a good thing for physical media fans, but for movie fans, bigger than that. You know, physical media is a manifestation of movies and movie love, and this just means more movies for people, and I'm excited about it. Where do you want people to go to get the news? You know, you want them to hit these social media sites, the website for sure. But do you want people to follow you or the company anywhere else?
Yeah, so you can get us on Twitter and Facebook, or X as it's now called. Sorry,
Yeah.
rather than Twitter. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We're on YouTube for trailers and clips and stuff like that. Obviously, we have our website as well, eurekavideo.co.uk. However, I should add that is largely tailored for the UK market because most of our library, apart from these first two titles at the moment, have only been released in the UK. We will have a US sort of more US focused website over time, which will
Yeah.
show all of the North American releases. So just so it's not as confusing as is this UK, is it not? Or So,
Right.
but yeah, Twitter and Facebook are the main places to go. That's where we announce all of our titles as well. So you will hear about them first there. But yeah, it's just a really exciting time. I just can't wait to see how it goes, the fan feedback, the new people that sort of join us, and hopefully they pick up one release and they're like, wow, this is great, and then they continue to follow us. But yeah, it's going to be an exciting next few months, and then hopefully by that point we'll become a bit more established, a bit more of a name rather than a day-to-day name with people, rather than a sort of underground rumbling, for want of a better phrase.
All right, guys, thank you so much for checking this video out. Kevin, thank you so much for being so honest and forthright with your answers, just for being here. I really appreciate it. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Guys, continue the conversation in the comments below. Subscribe, like, do all that stuff, and let's support these titles coming out. Thanks. Till next time, I will catch you later.